Hi guys, welcome to this video where I want to talk about summer sports photography. Now here in the UK, we have finally reached June and that officially means that summer has started. Now here in England, that makes no guarantees that we're going to get any nice weather, but it does mean that some of the sports I'm used to shooting, namely football, have now pretty much finished for a couple of months and we move on to looking at a whole new batch of sports if we want to get behind the camera. So for me, the football season actually ended in early May, and what that means is I haven't actually been behind the camera for a couple of weeks now. If, like me, you're in a similar position and want some sports to shoot, or maybe you just want to try something new over the coming months, whether you're here in the UK watching this video right now, or the US, or maybe you're elsewhere in the world, and you pick this video up in a few months' time, when your summer arrives, I'm going to leave you 5 suggestions below of sports that are great to cover during the summer months. Number 1 is Watersports. Now, depending on where you live and where you're based, Watersports could give you the opportunity to shoot something really different that requires just a different way of thinking about how you capture your images. It also gets you out in the fresh air and hopefully the sunshine, which is also something we love to do during the summer months. Now, if you have a water sports centre, a lake, or even perhaps a coastal event taking place, then sports such as sailing, surfing, windsurfing, jet skiing, water skiing, kayaking, loads of water sports could give you an opportunity to get out and shoot something that is, as I said, just a little bit different. Where I am based in the UK, which is on the Wirral in England's northwest, I live on a peninsula, and so I'm quite lucky in terms of having kind of water on 3 sides of the landmass, plus a couple of water sports options nearby as well. We've also got 2 nearby marine lakes that are right on the coast, and these are often used for water sports, with one in particular right from spring through to probably early autumn. It has a load of sailing and windsurfing and different events taking place. I love to go down and photograph those types of sports, ideally in the evening as the sun's setting or in golden hour, because you get some lovely colours as well as a very different types of photos, as I said. You can also do some really nice things if you're on the coast and you've got the sun setting, and that you can get some lovely silhouette images with some sublime colours kind of coming through from the sun and the sea or the ocean behind you as well. Obviously, and this goes to all the sports that are on this video, just check who you're shooting, that you're allowed to shoot, and that you don't need any licenses or permissions or anything before you set up and begin photographing. Number 2 is cricket, or in the US, probably a good one to shoot is also baseball. Now this one obviously varies depending on where you are in the world. However, in the UK and Australia, as well as a few other parts of the world, cricket is a really good sport to photograph, and in the UK, it seems to be played everywhere and pretty much every day when it isn't raining. And I say it is a primary summer sport with lots of regional clubs. I've got 3 or 4 within a short drive of my front door that I could probably go up and shoot. In fact, one of them I did some paid work for a couple of years ago. Now, the great thing about cricket, other than it's quite relaxing, is it's also a sport that they only really play when the weather is favourable. So it's pretty chilled out, certainly at a local level, and you're not going to get wet, because if it starts raining heavily, they will pause the game and go inside. Something to note on this is the games do last an awful long time. When we talk about cricket, they can readily take all day on a weekend, sometimes more than one day, it might be several days, and that is commonplace. So if you are going to shoot for a team, just beware that these matches can go on, and if you're waiting for a certain, maybe a batsman to take the shot, they might have to bowl the other team out completely first before you can come on and get that shot. So beware of what you're going to shoot and do your homework a little bit before you go as well. Something else to consider both about baseball and cricket is that in most circumstances you're going to need a decent reach in terms of your lens if you want to get right in on those action shots of, say, the batsman kind of striking the ball. You're going to want to get nice and tight, so you're going to need at least a 400mm reach, possibly a little bit longer. Again, if you haven't got the expensive glass, get whatever you can get and then lash an extender on there and you can double that distance right up. Additionally, if you're using something with a crop sensor, then the crop factor can let you add that little bit of reach as well onto those shots. So don't worry about going out and having to buy a 400mm prime lens or anything like that off the bat. For what is quite a slow game when we talk about cricket, beware that you will need still fast shutter speeds, because when the bowlers do bowl and the batsman strike the ball, it is all very quick in those moments, and you can also get some great images of the fielders catching the ball. Same in baseball. Apologies for my naivety of not knowing more about that sport. I have been to a few games, but not to photograph. So yeah, beware, you will need a fast shutter speed because it can, what might seem like quite a slow game, once the action happens, it can happen very quick and be over like that. So beware and have your camera set up to compensate for that. Number 3 is tennis. So tennis has increasingly become a year-round sport, but certainly in most countries, it is more of a summer sport when we talk about traditional outdoor tennis. In the UK, we're famous for our grass courts, not that there's many public ones left, but also there's a lot of lawn tennis clubs here in the UK. Around the world, there's different types of hard court and clay court, so there's lots of variety that you can potentially find to shoot during the summer months when we talk about tennis outdoors. There are a load of local tournaments and leagues, as I said, that do take place in the summer months. Although it's a sport I haven't actually photographed before, and it's one that I would very much like to photograph. So I can't offer you advice in terms of what facilities local clubs might have as far as photographers are concerned. My advice would be to phone ahead and talk to them and ask what provisions there are for photographers. Now, my experience of playing a little bit of tennis at a very, very amateur level here in the UK is that the courts are pretty much fenced in. So you might well be shooting through a fence in order to get those shots. Number 4 is track and field. Now, when we think about track and field, we invariably think about the Olympic Games, the Commonwealth Games, and those types of huge events. However, there are loads of local athletics clubs, specifically here in the UK. There are plenty of local clubs that will have full-on running tracks and track and field programs, and they probably welcome photographers going down and getting involved. If you're a beginner and you want to build out your portfolio, I think track and field is a great place in which to do that, because you can add so many varied type of shots, from your wide shots, from your head-on shots of maybe 6 lanes of sprinters sprinting towards you, from hammer throwing and discus and pole vault. All those types of things make for really varied and really nice images to fill your portfolio. Also, and I'm going to tie this in loosely in this section, is look for regional running events. So I'm talking marathons, half marathons, fun runs, 10Ks, maybe even triathlons and things like that. And the reason is, if you think of a marathon, I've been fortunate enough to run 2 marathons before. When you've finished and you've got over the absolute pain and agony of running a marathon, you then go and look for your photos. And marathon companies and companies who run 10Ks, they'll now have, or very often they'll have photography companies or agencies that are contracted to cover that event and get photos of every single runner. So if you've got a marathon with 500 runners in, how many photographers are you going to need in order to cover all of those runners? So the point I'm trying to make here is have a look what running events are happening near you, get in touch with the organisers. There could commonly be some paid work to be had. Similarly, I have seen adverts in the past for advertising paid work for photographers to get involved with rock and roll marathons and different things and be one of the shooters along the course. So definitely another great event to get involved with. Number 5 is cycling. Now, when I talk about cycling, I am talking about road cycling, so out on the public roads primarily. Now, here in the UK, since the Team GB had massive success back in, I think, the 2008 Olympic Games, cycling has seen a real boom in popularity, and that continues today. And the great upshot of that is that there are, through the summer months especially, there seems to be loads of cycling events, be it fundraising, family type cycles through to full-on cycle races with amateur, semi-pro and even professional cyclists that will go around all regions of the UK. Now, back in 2019, before the pandemic, the Tour of Britain, which is a big, I think it's a professional race, there might be some semi-pros in there as well. The Tour of Britain is a massive cycle race that, as the name suggests, takes place through Britain. And I was fortunate enough that by chance that part of the route for that went past the end of my road where I live. And so I was able to literally one day walk up the road, find a good spot and just shoot some of the top cyclists in the country and some in Europe, literally from 5 minutes from my house. And that might be an extreme in terms of how easy that can be. But again, I got some great snaps. I found it really great to photograph cycling because you get a whole variety of shots. You can get nice wide ones if there's a pack of cyclists together. If you can find a hill where cyclists are really straining to get up the hill. You get some great facial expressions, and some of the images on screen now are actually from the Tour of Britain when I shot them a couple of years ago. Now, equipment wise, you can have a crack at cycling with anything really, but if you want to get some nice close-up shots, you're going to want either to be fairly close to the road, but obviously maintain a safe distance wherever possible. And you're going to probably need a reach in terms of your lens of around 200mm. But what I'd say here is experiment with whatever you've got. Cycling is one of those things. If it's on the open road, you know, take what gear you've got, get there early, relax, take some test shots of traffic going past if the road's not yet closed. Now, with all the sports I've mentioned here, if you're not overly familiar with them, it's important, really important, to do some research on them. Watch a few events on YouTube, not only from a photographer's perspective, if there are some, but also just so you know what's happening. So in cricket, you know how they're likely to smash the ball, because if one of those hits you on the head, you're going to be a whole world of trouble. Similarly with cycling, you might be tempted to jump out after the packs pass and get some artistic shots of them kind of moving away from you. Problem if you do that is that every single cyclist will have a service or maintenance car, whatever they're called, following them with physios and mechanics and spare bikes in. And let me tell you from experience, they travel at great speeds to keep up with the cyclists or to make up ground if they've been delayed. So don't just jump out on the road in the case of cycling. So it's really important actually, before you go and shoot any of these sports that are new to you, that you do the homework and make sure you're comfortable with how they work and what to expect when you do go to shoot them. So I hope that's given you some inspiration for some sports photography in the summer. Please let me know in the comments below if you have tried any of these sports already, if you've got any others that you can suggest to me and everyone else in terms of what would be a great sport to shoot during the drier, warmer summer months, wherever you are in the world. And that's it. I'd love you to subscribe to the channel. As I always say, I don't expect you to. And if not, I will see you on the next video. Thank you for watching.